The doctor kept telling me during his deposition he didn't remember. I don't recall, I don't recall, I don't recall. Now, this happened more than 7 years ago. What did I do to establish that my client's version of the events were more likely true than not true based upon this doctor's failure to recall anything? You want to know the answer? Come join me for a walk through downtown Manhattan as I share with you the answer to that question. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. This was a medical malpractice case. My client had sued this doctor claiming that he was careless and caused and contributed to her injuries. Now, by the time I had a chance to question him, many years had gone by. This doctor had gone on, he left that hospital, and now he was practicing in another state. This doctor clearly had no idea, and I knew it from the very beginning. I knew that he would have no idea because of how much time had passed by. So I anticipated that he wouldn't know anything. And I anticipated that because I'd gotten feedback from his attorney when I was trying to schedule his pretrial deposition that this guy had only one note in the chart and doesn't remember anything. So that gave me a heads up that this guy clearly didn't know anything. So what did I do when I questioned him? My goal was to try and use my client's pretrial deposition testimony to now confront him with it, to see, number one, if he remembered that conversation, to see if he remembered saying those things. When the doctor would tell me, I don't recall, that was very useful. Now you might be saying, wait a second, how could it be useful if the doctor simply doesn't recall any of these conversations, or being present for any of these conversations, or overhearing some of these conversations between my client and other doctors? I'll tell you why. Because there's a big distinction between the doctor saying, no, that conversation did not take place, and the doctor saying, I don't recall. If the doctor were to come right out and say, no, that's not what happened, this is what happened, now we have a clear contradiction between what my client has said and now what he recalls being said. Instead, he didn't say that. Instead, he said, you know what? I don't remember. It's been so long, I have no idea whether or not this conversation took place. I don't remember any of the details about what occurred. And why is that useful? Why is that beneficial to me? I'll tell you why. Because who do you think is much more likely to remember something significant, something impactful that happened to her? This is my client's one and only instance where something terrible and traumatic happened to her. Don't you think she's much more likely to remember the details of what occurred, even though many years have passed, compared to a doctor who was only involved in her care and treatment one time and had very little involvement? Now, the fact that he kept saying, I don't recall, that is useful because I confronted him with every single statement that my client made about the conversation she had with him. It wasn't just my client who was there, it was my client's husband who was also there. And now together, they both confirmed that certain things were said, and now instead of outright denying it, he simply said, I don't remember, I don't recall, which actually is very useful for me because now a jury will ultimately have to decide whether my client is slightly more likely right than wrong, that what she is claiming is true. If this case goes to trial, the jury is ultimately going to have to decide who they believe. And if they believe my client, now, the comments that she made are critical to understanding what occurred and why, and the decisions that she made. If they believe the doctor, well, guess what? He simply didn't remember the events, but my client did. And remembering those events at the time she testified and talked about them, that's going to be very important for the purposes of showing that she is more likely right than wrong than what she is claiming is true. So why do I share this quick information with you? I share it with you because I'm here passing by the World Trade Center. Let's see if I can show you some pictures of it. This is from the base of the World Trade Center. It's pretty wild. And now I'm heading back after lunch. I'm going back to the office. I've got some more work to do. But I just wanted to open your eyes to help you understand how these types of cases work in the state of New York. You know, I realize you're likely watching this because you have questions or concerns about your own matter. Well, if your matter did happen in New York and you are thinking about bringing a lawsuit but haven't done so yet because you still have questions that need to be answered, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. You know, I answer questions like yours every single day and I'd love to chat with you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. That's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a fantastic day.